Welcome back. Let's talk to a tech expert, Toyin Ifesonya, global tech strategist and career expert, as well as most inspiring woman in tech 2023, advocate for diversity and inclusion, joining us from the UK. Toyin, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Sometimes when we look at some of the accomplishments, we try to start from there, and it looks like just like we have lost a lot of, in that sense, use the word cautiously, in the medical sector, so places like the UK and the US, it looks like you're part of those who have also gone down to the UK to do exploit from abroad, while we need all of you right here. Maybe we'll start from there as to why.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. It's actually an honor to be here. So the big why. Well, I usually say that it's always good to be better positioned. So sometimes last year I had an opportunity to be at the select. I was part of the delegates that were selected for the Select USA Summit 2024. And I also was privileged to, attend the inaugural investment summit in Baltimore. Now, that's actually from my quest. If you really want to be better positioned to be able to give back to your society, to be able to give back to the people who look up to you, then you must, in a way, gather all the information that is required. So this is one of the reasons why I stepped out, because of I needed to get more information. I needed to really have a full grasp of what is happening in the global market, right? You know, if you're looking at what the trend is at the moment, as a coach expert, as a tech coach, whether I have been privileged to train quite enough to mentor quite a number of tech enthusiasts. And, consider what is happening in the global market out there. There is more to just acquiring the tech skills. You have quite a number of remote opportunities. You have quite a number of new gigs that are coming up and springing up. And if you are not well positioned, if you're not right in the midst where this new initiatives are coming up, you may not be in the right position to be able to give back to your community. So for me, it's been strategic. I have to be here just to be able to understand how certain things operate and be able to give back to my community.
So let's talk about positioning now from Nigeria. Thank God you're still Nigerian, you represent Nigeria. So let's talk about positioning. I was listening to former presidential candidate and former deputy governor of the CBN, Professor Kingsley Moghalu, one of his presentations in one of the South states, where he was talking about how we can be global even whilst in Nigeria. So he said, if you look at an average car, there's maybe about 18,000 or 15,000 parts that all maybe a state like Lagos or Rivers or any other state has to do is to see perhaps what component within that car they could take as an advantage to produce and supply them. Because when you look at all of these circuits, I've forgotten the full name of what I'm trying to mention, but if you look at the cars, how it's produced, and some of these electronics, you see that different parts come from different parts of the world. So he was talking about the fact that we need to also reposition ourselves in that direction. My question actually is, from where you sit, is Nigeria positioning itself to take advantage of this new revolution? We may not do everything, but what are you seeing us positioning ourselves as, and in what area that in the next 10 years we could take advantage of to be global in that sense?
Thank you very much for this question. I must actually commend the work our Honorable Minister for Digital Economy is doing, Dr. Bosso Tindani. There are quite a number of initiatives that he has done. We have the 3 MTT initiatives. We have tech hubs that have been springing, that have actually been formed. We have quite a number of digital literacy programs that are ongoing. However, the big question is what's the inclusion for us? We understand that the global market is very competitive. right? And it's how can we best position our experts, our entrepreneurs, our youths, our female, how can we empower them? How can we best ensure that they are included, right? So if you look at some of the initiatives that have been run, like I said, I commend these initiatives. But the big why is how can we actually ensure that these certain things that is currently the current trend, like what is obtainable out there, we can better position our people, right? So for instance, when you run certain trainings like programs like digital skill acquisition, when you are able to graduate quite a number of tech professionals, what's the next? What's the next thing that they need to do, right? If you run these digital skills and you now have like job seekers, you also have tech entrepreneurs. So how do we ensure that these tech entrepreneurs are well positioned? What are the remote opportunities? If you look at the what pandemic had actually done, it's no longer you don't necessarily have to be in a place to actually be able to communicate. You have quite a number of different communication channels, and there are a lot of remote job opportunities. Right. So for the tech entrepreneurs, what is the gig? What is the future of now? If we understand the context, the thing around the Gen Zs, right, where you practically can keep them from their 9 to 5. So the future of now is not about the four walls of an organization. What are the opportunities out there? How can they harness these opportunities? If you look at the tech entrepreneurs, the tech consultants, what can they do such that they can compete with this global market? For instance, if you're looking at job opportunities, you have things like the Amazon FBA, you have affiliate marketing, you have content creators, you have influencers, right, you have people who sell on ebooks on Amazon Audible. They're able to publish book. You have artificial intelligence. You also have AI for website building. You have AI for virtual assistants. You have faceless YouTube. You have TikTok shop. So what are we doing differently to ensure that our youths are able to compete in this global market? They don't necessarily have to leave the four walls of Nigeria. They actually can be in Nigeria and still be able to, nest these opportunities. Now, when we look at the job seekers, when they are done with this digital skills acquisition, when they are done with this program, what is the next step, right? How are they going to ensure that their resumes are ATS compliance? How are they going to do certain things like LinkedIn optimizations? What next? What about the soft skills? How can they represent? Hello?
If you can hear me, I just curious, really. Some will see your location and say, well, you have left the four walls, you have left the shores. Let me also do the same. I wonder if you're open to coming back. I know you spoke to the big why, perhaps those who are wondering as well, because they see your location. But if we can, in about a minute or so, tell us about your peculiar tech journey. And I say this because I know there are different routes, right? So what is your own journey and what can people learn from your journey?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Well, I studied computer science from Olabisi Onabanjo University. But before I even go into that, you could actually, aside from me being so interested and the global tech strategies, I am a woman, right? And I grew up in Nigeria, seeing the first-hand how access to opportunities can actually help, shape the destinies of people. So I actually studied computer science in Olabisi Onabanjo University. But back then, we didn't have computers, right? There were computers, like the way they have computers in universities now. We didn't have those computers. Like I graduated my 5 years as a computer scientist in Olabisi Onabanjo University. At that time, there was no computer. So everything was more like abstract. It was a theoretical based thing. However, my journey into tech started when I got my first job as an IT help desk, right? And when I got this job, it opened me to quite a number of opportunities. And then I was able to see the gap between, the school, and the workplace, right? How can people get to bridge this gap, getting the required skill that is required for the workplace, for the workforce, and just going to the four walls of school and you just graduated. So this actually was like a quest for me. Like it was like a passion for me, because when I graduated, or when I was in school, I was not privileged. Now the kind of number of technologies that have springed up, and it's how we can better position our undergraduates, our youths, how we can better position them, and not just youth, our females. So based on this, I actually founded a Macintosh Consulting. Macintosh Consulting has actually been in existence for over 12 years. And what have we done in this period? It's an edutech, right? And in this period, we are partnered with AWS. We are number one, the first accredited training partner for Amazon Web Services. They are known for their cloud services. We also got other partnerships with Microsoft, with PCB, and in turn, over the last 12 years, we've trained and empowered over 25,000 youths and tech professionals.
I'd say that you've done a lot of work, and that's quite remarkable, and we hope it's going to continue so that, as I asked, we'll properly be global in that sense by looking at an element of what is going on around the world to take advantage of it to provide services to the rest of the world. But thank you, Tony Fesanya, global tech strategist and career expert, most inspiring woman in tech in 2023, and advocate for diversity and inclusion, joining us from London, the United Kingdom. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for coming on the program.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so from here, we'll switch gears now. So what you're saying on X. So let's talk about the things you're saying on X on the program. But we'll come back after this break. Join us again.